Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Living-Astrology with Janet. I'm telling you, it has been a morning already. I totally didn't realize it was time for the show to start. Suddenly, I looked up and it said show starting. And then I didn't have everything together the way that I needed to. It's been just a morning. So thank you for joining me. Some days, I guess you just have to laugh. I don't know. But welcome to Friday, right? It's a Friday, finally a Mother's Day weekend. I hope everybody has plans to get out and enjoy the weather or enjoy just being on that day. Um, I don't even know what to say about this morning. I have been working tirelessly over the last several months to put together the Living Astrology membership to the point where, yes, today you guys all got an email from me saying, welcome, join, blah, blah, blah. And the links don't work. But they worked yesterday when I got the tester. They worked yesterday when I was receiving the preview email. But this morning, they don't work. Actually, one of them did work for me. I don't know why. And the other from my phone won't work. So I apologize. There's not much I can do about it now except to send it out again. Send it out again. Somehow MailChimp decided to truncate the link. And instead of the full URL, it went to Living Astrology / something astrology dot. Well, that's not what the link is. So I don't know what happened. And I don't know why some of it will work and some of it won't. Oh, and now my phone is recording my conversation for no good reason. So, hmm, technology. I don't know what it is today. There's a glitch in the matrix, perhaps. But today, we begin a new human design week with the sun at the gate 23 transmission. And that's quantum human design speak. If we talk about it in quantum or in traditional human design, it is the gate of assimilation. And the earth is in the gate 43, which is called insight and is sitting on the throat center, heading up toward the ajna. I'm sorry, sitting on the ajna, going down toward 23 at the throat center. And it's a powerful combination that really invites us to share our brilliance, right? Karen Curry Parker used to call this the freak to genius channel. And it is a channel that is very impactful in getting new information out to people or in sharing new thoughts. So we'll dig into that a little bit longer. We'll also talk about Mercury shift into grounded and practical Taurus, where it actually is activating the gate 3, a gate called innovation, and how things in the beginning have trouble getting off the ground and how we need to sort of stay the course in order for those things to happen. And then finally, we'll take a peek at Sunday's energy. Sunday, Mother's Day, is a day that's clear of any major transits. However, the moon that day is in Scorpio and in a square to Mars. So I'm interested to see how that's going to do as it stirs up the emotional waves beneath the surface, right? And if we're all gathered together for family events, things like that, it could be an interesting day. We'll see. Okay, good morning to everyone. Hello, Diana. I saw you out there, and Tom. And Tom says, Happy Mother's Day to all of us mothers. We're all mothers in some way, don't you think? J Lo, happy Friday to you. Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel, happy to see you with us. Jolie, happy to see you with us. Hello to Asa, who's been receiving my frustration this morning, and I apologize for that. But luckily, it was texting, so you can't really tell what was the voice. You can't tell that I was stamping my foot and throwing a tantrum. Good morning, Christine Buckingham. And Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel says, Mother's Day, that means my kids will forget. Well, my son did kind of forget. And it was only because I called him yesterday to say, do you guys want to come over? Um, because they live on an island, they have to make reservations on a ferry to get here. And he's like, "It's Mother's Day? Oh my God. Thank God you said something," because he would have forgotten his own wife and, the fact the fact that she's a mother. Never mind, forgetting me. It's too funny, but he in all, just, sticking up for good old Wesley, he has been working 10 to 12-hour days and almost 7 days a week. This is not what a projector should be doing, but anyway, there's not much else he can do right now. They're short people. All right, so let's dive in and explore how these energies can show up for you. And I'm actually going to share my screen with the lovely human design chart showing up on it. And here's what we're talking about. The sun is sitting right here at the gate 23, called the gate of transmission. It's on the throat center, so we already know a few key things, right? We know that it's about communication. We know that it is about timing in our communication, because the throat center, in terms of manifesting and communicating with others, is always going to be by invitation. So the right place, right time, right people, right message, and then it lands, right? The message lands. And then the earth is up here in the gate 43, which is called the gate of insight. And together, this is one of the few times in the human design 52 weeks or so of the year where it's actually more than that, where we form a channel. Usually, the sun is in one gate and the earth is in a different gate, and they might be in totally different centers. But this week, we're joining the two that create a channel called the channel of insight, but also in Karen's vernacular, the freak to genius channel, which is really kind of a cool name. And I'll explain a little bit more about that here in just a minute. Now, the gate 23 is kind of an interesting place, because the 23 is all about how do we move the information up into and down into the other parts of the human design? How do we create the voice, if you will? And it's about transmitting truth simply and clearly, right? Sometimes we think of the 23 as the gate of simplicity. If you look at it in the gene keys, in the shadow, the 23 is the gate of, or gene key of, complexity in the shadow. And when we move to the gift, it's simplicity. And when we get to the highest expression, it's quintessence, right? Getting to the very essence of something, the message, right? And in this week, then, as the sun illuminates the gate 23, we're often going to be tasked with simplifying a message, bringing something that's complex into more understandable languaging. And this energy is really designed for individual insight to be expressed clearly, but only when the timing is right. It's deeply mutative energy here, meaning it has the ability to change the world, to change lives, to change a life, to change a direction. And your voice may carry the spark of something that's radically new, radically out of the normal. And the thing about it is the timing is critical, because if you share that message too soon or with the wrong people, then it all doesn't land. They don't recognize your brilliance. Your genius kind of gets lost in the crowd. Yet, 2, 3 weeks later, someone else brings up that same idea, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're a genius." And you're like, "But wait, I did that 2 weeks ago, and you looked at me as if I had 2 heads." And that's because the timing would have been off, right? Timing. And the thing about timing with the throat center, as those of you out there who have an open throat have probably heard me tell you, is that the timing in the throat center comes from the invitation, right? Being invited to speak. And that can be literal, like someone says, "Hey, Tom, I want to talk to you. What are you thinking about this situation?" Or In another way, you can sort of ask questions to get drawn into a conversation. For example, you might say, "Hey, you guys, I have this brilliant idea. Are you ready to hear about something new?" If people are primed and ready, they'll tell you yes. They'll say, "Yeah, I want to hear. Tell me." And if they're not ready, they'll just say, "Yeah, not now. I've got too many other things going on, or I've got too much on my mind." And so your cue then is that it is not the right time to share. And aren't you glad you didn't say anything in that moment about your idea or that spark? Because it wouldn't have landed. And it would give you sort of this feeling of not being heard, seen, valued, recognized, as if your voice goes nowhere or if your ideas go nowhere. Now, in quantum human design, we call this the gate of transmission, which highlights your potential to share an inner truth in a way that really shifts consciousness. So it's a super, super important channel. It's a super important gate, right? Yet without the right audience or the right timing, the energy is met with resistance or misunderstanding or goes nowhere. So you may feel the pressure to speak to something this week. And by the way, this week is from today, May 9th, through the 14th. So it's about a 5-day week. And this is a week then to be very selective in your words, in what you say, and in how you say what you say. So we are in as much as we're ready to speak a brilliance, we are also honoring the power of silence and letting truth arise before we actually open our mouths. So there's an invitation by the sun here at the 23 for us to streamline and simplify and transmit only what is essential, right? What is the simplest way that we can convey a message, an idea, a genius moment type of thing. And gate 23 connects to the ajna through the gate 43 insight, and it forms what is called the channel of structuring. That's so boring. It does not mean anything in traditional human design. But insight, the channel of insight when it is in quantum human design. And it's a powerful intuitive knowing about what to say in the moment, and it defies logic, right? We can't wrap our brains around this one. And yet it connects to where the brain is. So let's talk then about Earth and her being at the gate 43. So we're grounding in the insight in order to be able to transmit the brilliance. Okay. And this is a gate that's known for inner knowing beyond reason. I know what I know, but I don't know how I know what I know. Like you can't prove it to somebody. And so it can be a bit of frustration, but it is also in the gene keys. The lowest expression is deafness. La la la, I can't hear. And in the gift, it's insight. But in the highest expression, this is epiphany. This is that revelatory moment, right? The revelation from the higher cosmos, where you don't know where it came from, except maybe spirit, and you can't prove it, but you know it with everything that is in your being. So, grounding the sun's energy this week is the earth at gate 43, where spontaneous inner knowing erupts into consciousness, often with no logical explanation. And you're being asked to trust your own insights, even when others may not yet understand, right? You have to moderate when those insights are shared. Right, because if it's in the wrong time, it goes nowhere. So this gate carries this gift or this highest expression of epiphany, encouraging you to listen to your inner voice. And then even if your world doesn't quite understand it yet, the right people hopefully will hear those words. So this is going to be a week from the Earth's perspective to honor your unique perspective and your intuitive insights. And then avoid dismissing ideas just because they don't make sense yet. Don't dismiss it. Just wait. Wait until it's invited out of you. Somebody will say, "Hey, do you have any great ideas about how to solve this problem?" And you get to go, "Well, yes, by the way, I do." Right? This earth energy may bring mental breakthroughs, right? That aha moment, sudden clarity, or a download of an inner something, knowing, or something that you've needed to complete a project, perhaps, or to move forward with your life. And combined with the sun in the gate 23, there's this powerful potential for breakthroughs that can be communicated with impact, right? Boom, there's the punch. So be watchful. And part of the reason why Karen lovingly called this the gate of, or the channel of the freak to genius moment, is because of the nature of this moment that comes on. I mean, I think probably every one of you have had a moment where you've just had this brilliant idea or solution that pops in, an epiphany about something, and that you can't pin down where it came from. You just know that it was impactful and really is speaking to you on some kind of visceral level. And this is the week for that. But in order to not feel invalidated, it's a good idea to not speak it unless it's invited out of you. Okay. And let's talk about this for everybody now, because no matter how your human design chart is constructed, this channel is activated for everybody, right? It doesn't matter if you have gate 43 open and gate 23 open. You now have them defined for the next 5 days, right? Or through the 14th. And some of you may have a hanging gate. So a hanging gate looks like this. Let me erase this, for example. Mm. Oh, I can't because it's a picture. It's a picture of a picture. But let's say I erased this and we didn't have something at gate 43. What we have is 23 just hanging there, right? Halfway. Then now suddenly, maybe some of the key insights that you've been holding on to in the voice are able to connect and come out and be shared with people. And opposite is true as well. What if you have the gate 43 defined and the 23 not defined? Perhaps you've had this download or this idea that has been in your mind, and you haven't been able to bring it into some kind of simplicity or to be able to explain it to others in a simple way. This might be the week where that happens, right? So, a lot of people I talk to get downloads, right? Like spirit just drops it in, but they don't know what to do with it. They can't put the words into a usable form. Well, this is the week where those words might come into that usable form, where you're able to speak to what it is that your idea or what it is that you want to share. Now, while we're sitting here looking at this chart, I just want to show you that the planet Mercury tomorrow is moving into Taurus. But right now, because the degrees, the degrees that span, or the gates span certain degrees of the zodiac, and it's not always a sign to sign meeting. So, for example, all the gates pretty much start at the end of a previous sign. So the gate 3 really begins at the end of Aries. And then as planets move into Taurus, the early degrees of Taurus will be in the same gate, let's say, right? So the gate 3 really began a day or so ago, while Mercury, or even today, yesterday, I think it is, while Mercury's in Aries, and then continues on until Mercury moves into Taurus, and then the gate will shift, right? So the gate 3 is a gate that's called innovation. And it's an interesting place because it's where at the end of Aries, where it really has its beginnings, where the idea has come in while you're getting ready to take action on something, where the brilliance is getting ready to shine, presumably. And then it moves into the gate 3, where the problem with the gate 3 in the I Ching, I think this gate is called trouble in the beginning, where anything new has to take time to get its sort of feet underneath it, right? To gain momentum. And so the 3, while it's innovative and mutative, right? It's a change agent kind of energy. It is also one where we have to stick it out. We have to endure. We have to stay with the course because there's always this slower period in the beginning, and then it starts to build up momentum, and then the innovation can change the face of the planet, right? Or can um, change your life or change the way you do things. So the gate 3 is very impactful that way. And it's always interesting to me that it starts in Aries, where there's this bold, pioneering, let's get her done kind of energy. And then it moves into Taurus and slows everything down. It's almost like putting the foot on the brake. You got the foot on the gas and the foot on the brake, and you're not really going anywhere. You're just kind of, making noise. But if you stay the course, if you maintain stability, or if you create more stability, then that creation ends up gaining speed or ends up gaining traction and can move somewhere. So this could be a bit of the break on these brilliant ideas as well this weekend. So just be aware. Just be aware. All right, let me exit my full screen here and take this picture out and tell me, how are you guys doing? All right. Good morning, Tamara. Good morning to Christine that says that part really resonates too. Uh, what part? Oh, up here. Up here. Here we go. Good morning, Patty and Teddy. It's good to see you. Um, now it says this resonates a lot. Defined Ajna at 43 with Mars in Capricorn, half a red line towards 23, undefined throat. Yes. Okay. So that's perfect because Christine, what it's saying is that you hold this repository of ideas or of, these sparks of genius, and yet you have to wait in order to share, because if you have an open throat, you're already somebody that needs to wait to be invited in to share your insights. Otherwise, they go nowhere. Right? So this is going to be an awesome week then for you, because you have this genius now connected to your throat center where you can share some of these insights and these ideas that have, been coming up for you. So, but make sure still, even though it's defined that you have the right audience, if it's not the right audience, then, it isn't going nowhere. It isn't going anywhere. Let's speak real English here, right? It isn't going anywhere. Debbie, thank you, and I think Tom and my brother-in-law TJ out there. So please, if you're enjoying the video, hit the like button or the thumbs up button. Share it with your friends. Heart it, right? Let's give it some heart. And thank you very much for the reminder. And it's okay, Debbie. And Lenny, good morning. It's good to have you with us. Epiphany to quintessence. Quintessence is such a great word, isn't it? Right? It just speaks to this higher, focused energy that gets right to the heart of something, right? And it just lands with people right here in the heart, right here in the heart. And MD, good morning to you. Hi, Janet, brothers and sisters. I had a major glitch. I woke up thinking it was Sunday, and it took me a while to figure it out. Well, MD, you are definitely not alone, because for 2 different days this week, I thought it was Friday. Or I thought on Wednesday, I thought the next day was Friday. On Thursday, yesterday, I thought it was Friday. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get my show. Oh, wait, today's Thursday. It's just been a weird timing is off in a very big way. Christine Buckingham, 43.5. Yeah, so the point 5, right? The fifth line. Always tricky because, you're seen by others sometimes as a leader or someone who's in the know, or who is going to save them in some way. And the problem with that is you're just doing what you do, right? You just are sharing your information or sharing your ideas, and then people, want to blame you or shame you for the things that you bring forth, those ideas, which is another reason why it's so important to make sure that the people you share with are ready to hear it. If they're not, then that fifth line kicks in and you get projected upon, right? They project their stuff onto you. So it's the projection field. And Tamara, I mixed days this week as well. It was so strange. It has been a, I don't know, strange period of time, I think, that we're in. Weird things happen, weird dreams, weird things that are going on with other people around you or around me even. So it's kind of odd. But, you know, that's why I do what I do in the mornings like this because maybe, fair warning, this is going to be a weird week or this is going to have, some energy that you might want to work with. Okay, now because the email was such a disaster this morning, I kind of want to take you all on a trip through my new membership platform. And that's not it. Mhm. So hold on while I open this link up because I want to show you from your point of view what's there already. And of course, the thing about a membership is that you build on it, right? You build on it and you add more um, to the platform as you as time goes on, as you do more work. So hold on here. I got to find StreamYard again. I've got so many windows open. All right. So let me see if I can share. Uh, okay, we do this differently now, apparently. Ooh. Share a screen. Ooh, this is all different. Why do they do this to me? Let's see if I can share the screen. There we go. Share. All right. So what I'm sharing with you is the back end, what you would see if you joined the Living-Astrology membership. And the first thing that you get to is the welcome to the astrology membership video, kind of orienting you, kind of taking you on this visit that I'm taking you on right now. And now, let's see, welcome video. Let's go to the membership benefits so that you can, and I got to make sure on StreamYard that it's shifting with me. It is. Okay, good. So, in your membership, it includes weekly insights on things that we talk about here in the morning, and then the extras, right? The extra stuff. And I'm going to show you like what is some of that extra stuff. It might be an after show summary, it might be a worksheet, it might be some other piece of information. Like sometimes I can put up the images in there. There's a monthly master class and forecast class with a question and answer session. There are bundled courses, some courses that I've already got in there that I bundled together for you guys to work through. Video teachings, I put that in there because sometimes I just feel like I want to come on air and talk, even if it isn't planned, and then you guys would have access to that brilliance when it comes out. And eventually, I want to set up a community of like-minded seekers. Likely, we'll do this through a Facebook group. But I know a lot of you don't like Facebook, so I'm searching for a way to create a community where we can get together and talk or share, and then discounted offers for sessions and special events. So those are your benefits. Now let's take a look at what that kind of looks like. So first of all, everybody can mark their calendars. If you join, you get this free, right? It's going to be free for everybody. A monthly call on May 15th, which is a Q&A, where we talked this morning about Human Design Gate 43 and 23, and maybe you have a question about how it impacts you personally. Or maybe you have a question about how the gene keys plays out in your life. So you could bring those questions. You can ask me anything about your chart, astrology, human design, gene keys. If you want to go into galactic astrology, if you want to go into the Akashic records and ask questions, there you can do it. But make sure you bring your birth information, especially if you are someone I haven't maybe done a reading for, so that we can talk about what's going on for you. Okay, now let me share with you what some of those things look like. So on May 2nd, last week, or earlier this week, May 2nd, that was last week, last Friday, the broadcast, and I shared the picture of the human design chart because we talked about the sun in the gate 2 and the earth in the gate 1, and the fact that Saturn or Neptune is sitting at gate 25. And then here was the picture of the astrology chart. And then I also turned the notes that I create in the morning because I usually have, notes that I've written, and then I share those with you here, and they are PDFs, so anybody should be able to download them. And then there was also in April, I put up the May transits calendar, right? So you can download it directly here, which I was searching for a place where that could happen easily, and it's right here. And then the notes for the broadcast are available, and the download is available as a PDF, and a bonus download that day on the Saturn legacy in Pisces. And that is also a PDF where everybody can read, right? And then if we continue, if I hit continue, good. So now we have another master class coming up, and this will be about Chiron healing the wound of identity because he has been in the sign of identity, right? The sign of Aries. And that class is on Thursday, May 22nd at 12 noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. East Coast time. If you join the membership, you have 30 days free, a free trial for 30 days. You can do all, you have access to everything that's in there, anything I add between now and the end of your 30 days, plus access. The Zoom links are built in here for the master class for May. And it is a join with a password, and the password is Chiron, right? So then we talk about Chiron in the terms of the USA chart because the United States is experiencing a Chiron return, has actually just finished that Chiron return. And that prompted me to think, okay, but what is it doing to the collective heart, for each one of us and in your individual life? What is this transit, doing? And it's going to be an interesting class. I can't wait to share this one. And then the what's coming soon are other master classes that I have coming up. Coming up to June 5th, the Jupiter Uranus baton pass in Gemini, because as Jupiter moves out of Gemini and into Cancer, immediately following that comes Uranus in Gemini. And I realize this is like, Jupiter coming along and expanding everything to do with communication and information, and Uranus then following into it and blowing it all up. So it's going to represent a huge shift. And what is that going to mean? So we'll be talking about that. And then I start a new series at the end of June about the planets, sitting down. What would the planets tell us if we sat down over a cup of tea and talked about the myth, talked about their personality and their soul, the heart and soul of the planet? And it'll be a multi-part course because there's more than one planet. Can't take care of all of them in one sitting. And then other future courses will be about the summer's minor grand trine and how to harness that energy. Pluto going out of bounds in September, and what does that mean when the king of transformation goes wild? And monthly energy forecasts, of course, and integrating human design and the gene keys into your astrology. And then there is bonus material as well. And this is, only for the membership. This isn't something I've put on my blog or anything for people. This is about Neptune and Aries through the houses. And you can download that PDF. And then I did one on Saturn through the houses. I will do one on Jupiter through the houses and Uranus through the houses as each one of those prepare to shift into new signs. And then let's see, what's coming soon. We did that. And then the community hub part is, of course, not available yet because I haven't quite found the right place to put that. So anyway, that just gives you a sneak peek at that. But unfortunately, in this morning's email that you received, There was a glitch in the link, so that means I have to send out something new again to have the link corrected for everybody, and my apologies for that. Something weird happened. Don't know what or why, because in my test it worked fine. Who knows? All right. So let's go on. Any questions about that? There is a class on the 21st. So let's talk about that. That's a good thing. Um, there, as you all know, I'm taking part ownership of the Energy Almanac, and that means I'm also responsible for helping it earn money. I'm also responsible for the writing, right, and getting the marketing done and so forth. So Tam and I were brainstorming ideas because it's an expensive proposition, right? Because a lot of the expenses come up front, right? So right now, the expenses are all about getting it ready for print and paying the editor and the proofreader and all of that, right? So we're like, well, how can we do this? Because it's been coming out of our pockets, right? And I said, oh, well, what if we did a series of webinars each month on a theme and it can wholly support the Energy Almanac? And we penciled out 7 months worth of Energy Almanac Presents webinars, the first of which is on May 21st. Now, these are not part of the membership. These are separate, and you can buy them for $22 each and join the live, or as well, the recording comes with that. Or you can buy the 7 months for, I want to say it's $139. So there's like a 20% discount there, and join us for each of the talks. So the first one up is Saturn in Aries, and that comes up on the 21st. Same time, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. East Coast, 7 p.m. UTC. And then the next month will be about Jupiter in Gemini. Then we do Jupiter in Cancer, Gemini, Uranus. And then we go into topics further on that are wholly designed to support the Energy Almanac, right? So it'll be a combination of Tam and me talking about whatever that subject matter is. So that's the class on the 21st, Tom. The 22nd is the one that's involved with the membership. And I mean, what have you got to lose, right? You can sign up for the free 30 days. And if you don't like it or if you don't enjoy it, you can opt out before the end, right? And not have to pay anything. So that's the difference in those things. The idea is that there's so much going on in the skies, right? So much going on in the world that it's hard to keep up with a daily. I would have to almost do daily broadcasts to be able to do that. And I don't have the time for that. So doing bigger broadcasts about things like Saturn and Aries make much more sense for us, right? And then you can take the things that you might have as questions during that live broadcast. We'll have some time for Q&A, but you can also bring those Q&As into the membership Q&A, which will be on a monthly basis. So lots going on, and I know it's a little bit kind of confusing at first, but just I would say follow the emails, but somehow that's confusing too. All right, let's go on. So today, or tomorrow, excuse me, Saturday, Mercury moves into the sign of Taurus. And so if we look at Aries right now, we see Mercury is at the 28th degree of Aries, and tomorrow we'll pop on over into the sign of Taurus. And Mercury in Taurus is slower, steadier communications. It's kind of mental grounding of ideas. And the planet is about thought and communication. And when he moves into Taurus, the pace slows down. It becomes more grounded. Maybe our words become more methodical, or we have a more methodical approach to sharing ideas and making decisions and in how we communicate. So after the flurry of Mercury in Aries, this shift allows that pace to slow down and encourages us to prioritize stability, patience, and practicality, right, in things that we do and in things that we say. And of course, it enters the gate 3. which is about innovation through order and the spark of something new, right? That comes out that needs structure in order to flourish, especially in the early phases of a transformation, right? It takes time to get the feet ready to go and to build up the speed. So, this Mercury moving into Taurus is actually another kind of clarion to tell us that it's time to simplify, right? It's time to simplify complex plans or to focus on sustainable ideas. I'm taking this in, y'all. Um, don't rush your decisions, right? Don't feel like it's a race to get to the end. Just let things settle before you speak or before you act. And this gate is the gate 3, which I showed you in the previous one, but also this energy of Mercury moving through Taurus is laying new foundations for us, right? New foundations, even if the road feels bumpy, which it does. Right now, the road feels bumpy, right? Things don't seem to work exactly how you like them to work. The question is, do you stick with it through the frustration, right? Because there is the frustration. So, what you have to be willing to do is to reorganize or reprioritize so that you have greater clarity and flow. Yikes, right? So, Mercury is in Taurus for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And while we're moving through this energy, of course, slowing the pace is important. Thinking before you take action. And I know that's going to be a little bit more difficult as we are, with all of this energy here in Aries, prompting us to move, right? Prompting us to do something. So just keep in mind that any good idea needs time to gather speed, to gather momentum, to get organized before it can be broadcast. All right, let's talk about Mother's Day. Mother's Day, luckily, the sky is pretty clear that day, right? There's not literally because it's supposed to be cloudy here anyway, but there aren't any big transits that we need to, be aware of. We are in the shadow that day of the full moon in Scorpio. We're also in the shadow that day of let's see, Mercury square Pluto, which we'll talk about in Monday's broadcast. But on Sunday, it's clear, except for one thing, right? The moon will be in the sign of Scorpio right here. And right now, the moon is, in mid Libra. So gives you the idea tomorrow morning sometime, likely we'll make that switch. And then it comes right into a square. Uh, it comes into a conjunction with the black moon Lilith and a square to Mars over here in Leo. Right here's Leo. And Sunday's quiet on the outer planetary front, but the Scorpio moon squaring Leo or squaring Mars in Leo can sort of bring some emotional intensity to the forefront, maybe some defensiveness or others being defensive, power struggles, because, sometimes that's a part of the Scorpio deal, especially in your closest relationships, right? And your mother being one of them, right? Your sisters, your brothers, or whatever. And the moon in Scorpio is deeply sensitive energy. It's deep water, it's perceptive. And while Mars in Leo can be dramatic, can be painful, or impulsively expressive, like impulsively saying what comes to its mind, the square could also trigger some ego clashes in doing that, or emotional outbursts, or unspoken resentment building up inside. But it also offers us this opportunity to clear the air and sort of reclaim our own personal power in our relationships. But again, we have to be very careful about how we do that, right? We don't want to just blurt things out to people. So stay grounded Sunday. Don't react impulsively, respond, right? The difference between reaction and response, remember, is taking a breath, choosing what it is that you want to say instead of just blurting, especially within family dynamics, right? Your closest relations. Allow space for your emotions to move without taking it out on anyone, without acting on that energy. And then take time for emotional self care on Sunday and supportive conversations with people. It's really a day to honor the feminine's strength and vulnerability, as Scorpio is a sign of the feminine, right? Scorpia, the energy of the divine feminine in her power, in her strength. All right. So, as we move through the weekend, oh, one other thing before I talk about that. If you notice the pattern here, right? You see a square. This is what we call a mutable grand cross, although some astrologers would probably not use it because the end of the one of the corners of the cross lands at the galactic center. And this one over here at the south node, and this one over here would be at the north node, and also Saturn and Ceres, right? They're very close. And then with the planet Jupiter, maybe a little bit out of orb, but still acting here. And remember the Grand Cross that we talked about? It was a fixed Grand Cross where there was sort of this need to create stability, but to not get stuck. Well, the mutable Grand Cross is all about change and transforming and moving energy. So, while that's activated over the weekend, today it's lined up and it'll line up, throughout the weekend. We have this opportunity to take in new information coming to us from the galactic center. We had a conversation a week or so ago about the galactic center. And in the galactic center, we were talking about how that is the space where new ideas and evolutionary concepts come out of that center and kind of pervade out throughout the universe or throughout our solar system, including us here on Earth. And when we have a sun that's very active, it is acting as the medium through which this energy actually makes it into the earth, right? Bombarding us, if you will, with this injection of new revolutionary, evolutionary energies. So, the galactic center being a part of this is actually an activator of a lot of the change that we're seeing um, in the outer world, but also, impacting you as an individual as well. And then with the North Node, here's the North Node here. It looks off because they need space to put the symbols. But it's actually the North Node that's part of this mutable Grand Cross, as well as Ceres and Saturn, if you will. And this trio, they're at the end of Pisces. Pisces is a sign that takes us in through our imagination, but also to our connection with our higher self, right? With spirit and or God, source, whatever your words are. And the three of these are asking us and have been, they've been together, linked here for a little bit, to sort of create this spirit in your body, to really ground in your spiritual practice, to realize that you are here for a purpose, right? This is soul work these guys are doing. And or over here, sorry, soul work that these three are creating. And as well, the getting out of our own way, getting out of the victim martyr energy that has been pervasive here. And if you actually look at these tick marks, you can see this is where each of those planets are, right? They're so close together. And even the vertex of the chart of this chart, it's not the vertex of any person, but just of this chart is very close. Then we have Jupiter in Gemini, another mutable sign that is changing thought processes, changing our mind, changing our communication and how we communicate with one another, how we how we take in information. And Jupiter here has been amplifying growth in terms of what we're learning, in terms of how we're communicating, where we're getting our news from, and the relative truth of the news that we receive, right? What is going on there? And Jupiter amplifies and magnifies and makes it bigger, exaggerates almost, right? So some of the storylines that we hear are very exaggerated. In fact, I'll pick up a story and I'm like, or Terry, this is how it typically works. My husband will say, "Oh, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Fake news, not true. Research it because it can't be right." And sure enough, he'll do that and find out that's not the whole story. So it's a really interesting time. And then think about this as Jupiter, moves on into Cancer and begins working on us in terms of our stability, our family, our foundation, our nurturing, our growth, in terms of how we, mother or nurture ourselves and others. Then Uranus, right here at 26 degrees of Taurus, moves into Gemini and starts his process of changing and maybe upsetting and shocking uh, the way that we get information or information in general. It's like lighting a fuse, right, on information. And I just find that fascinating, this handoff that goes on, between Jupiter and Uranus uh, in this particular time period that we're in. And then the South Node, also here, but in Virgo, um, another kind of indication of having to let go of the past. It seems, with Virgo energy, there's routines, there's habits, there's certain expectations of the way things go or the way things work or the order in which they should happen. And the South Node here is telling us that we've got to release our attachment to those habits and routines and things and instead get to something that's more nurturing for us as individuals. And remember, this is, a stable pattern, right? The crosses like this, they're always highly energetic. They almost push us or in some respects force us to come face to face with the energies of those planets that are involved. If you have your own particular chart, take a look at where the mutable signs are. Where is Gemini? Where is Virgo? Where is Sagittarius? And where is Pisces? Because these are the signs involved from now through next week in this particular cross, right? And notice the crosses also include oppositions, right? So there's an opposition between Jupiter and the galactic center. There is an opposition between the South Node and the North Node, which of course is a signature of the nodal axis. And when we have oppositions, we're moving, we have to solve the tension of moving in two different directions, right? One anchoring us to the past, one telling us to move to the future, but somehow we have to solve the tension, right? So it does sometimes create a feeling of it being ill at ease, not knowing what to do, feeling torn, right? You've got like four different directions that you can go in, and which one do I focus on, right? What do I focus on? All right. What else do I see in this chart? I also see, do you see these blue lines here that connect? This is um, this is called a minor trine, a minor grand trine, where you have, a sextile between one planet and another, and a sextile from one of those planets to another, and then a trine that connects them. And this is, something that right now is just happening, right? This is a short-term thing. But as we get into August, we end up getting into a situation where we have a long-term minor grand trine with the outer planets, with Uranus, with Neptune and Saturn, at least in the beginning, that are in a conjunction, and with so Neptune and then Uranus and Pluto. So we have this very powerful uh, design of moving forward. So it'll be interesting. And of course, that's one of the courses that we're offering as we go on into the summertime. All right. Questions? No questions. I love it. Or do I? I really like questions. And that's it for me today, guys. All right. Let's see if I can pull a card for us. I feel like we need some guidance. So, oh, what am I caught on? I need more tether. Let's pull an intuitive, a guides of the hidden realms. Ooh, good one. This is also by Colette Baron Reed, right? Kind of a moon face there. So let's see what card we get from the guides of the hidden realms. And this will be for our weekend. Oh, okay. This one is a way out of the weeds. And it says a clear way out, multitasking, getting organized, a way out of the weeds. That one is really weedy, isn't it? Okay. And it's card number 37, which is a 1, is a 10 if you add it up, and then a 1. And that is about perhaps a new beginning. So, key concepts: an end to struggle, getting organized, letting go of overwhelm and distractions, a clear way out, stuck in the mud, confusion, lost, the negative effects of multitasking. Some days you feel confused and stuck, like you're in a marsh, lost in the weeds. There's no way out in sight, and you can't break free of this predicament. Struggling and pushing, however, will get you nowhere. You must do the opposite of what you want to do. Relax instead. Oh, interesting. Can you remember your partnership with spirit and ask for divine help? Pray for clarity and the weeds to part. If you could stand up and see from a higher perspective, you would notice things you missed while struggling down in the weeds. The big picture is where you need to place your attention now. Don't let yourself get trapped in the mud and weeds of other people's dramas and gossip either. Spirit knows the way out. If you trust the path will be shown to you, it surely will. Keep your head high, then take it one step at a time. And there's also a reversed meaning. I think I'll read the reversed the card came out right side up, but just in case, let's read that. Don't get so caught up in the minutia of life that you lose sight of the bigger picture. Overwhelmed by too much information and all the things that need doing, you end up spinning out and not doing much well. We're taught that multitasking is a great skill. If you're a manifesting generator, yes, it is. If you're any other type, maybe not such a good thing. We're taught that multitasking is a great skill, but often it creates more problems than the ones we're trying to solve. Today is the end of your struggle. You are going to choose only one thing to focus on right now before moving on to the next task or goal. It's a good idea to organize your responsibilities by importance and urgency. What can be done later or perhaps not at all? Don't forget to ask for Spirit's help. In the end, everything will have to be magically done in perfect order and timing. This is also an invitation for you to take a temporary media diet. Stay off social media completely for at least a day or two. Watch or read only high level news to stay informed, if you must. In this way, you unplug from the frenetic energy that is exacerbating the overwhelm. You will return to your center when you allow yourself to quiet down. So get out of the weeds, away, out of the weeds. Okay, that now is it for me. Thank you all for joining me. Have a blessed weekend. Happy Mother's Day, and I will see you on Monday. Bye for now.